Something extraordinary begins to happen the moment you start thinking like a millionaire, and it has nothing to do with money at first. It has nothing to do with your income, nothing to do with your bank account, nothing to do with your job, your background, or your circumstances. Thinking like a millionaire is not about acting rich or pretending to be wealthy. It's about shifting the internal blueprint that controls every decision you make, every habit you choose, every emotion you feed, and every opportunity you respond to. It is a psychological transformation long before it becomes a financial one. And once this transformation begins, your life starts unfolding in ways that feel almost unreal. The world does not change around you. You change, and that change alters everything you experience. Because when you start thinking like a millionaire, you stop surviving and start designing. You stop hoping and start building. You stop reacting and start strategizing. You stop wandering and start moving with precision. Thinking like a millionaire is the moment everything begins to shift, slowly at first, then suddenly. The first thing that happens when you start thinking like a millionaire is that your mind becomes calm, even in situations that would normally throw you into stress, anxiety, confusion, or panic. Millionaire thinking eliminates chaos because clarity replaces fear. You begin to see that problems are puzzles, not threats. Setbacks are data, not punishments. Challenges are opportunities, not obstacles. You stop taking things personally. You stop being emotionally hijacked by circumstances. You stop overreacting to small inconveniences because your mind is anchored in a larger vision. Instead of spiraling into panic, you ask, what's the most strategic move right now? You approach your life like a builder, not a survivor. And this calmness becomes your competitive advantage because emotional stability leads to better decisions, and better decisions lead to better outcomes. Then something even more powerful begins to happen. You stop wishing for opportunities and start preparing for them, because millionaire thinking is not built on desire. It is built on readiness. The average person waits for the right moment. Millionaires create it. The average person wants conditions to improve. Millionaires improve themselves, so conditions no longer matter. When you start thinking like a millionaire, preparation becomes automatic. You read more, you plan deeper, you study markets, you analyze possibilities, you evaluate choices through a long-term lens instead of seeking instant gratification. You no longer chase motivation. You build discipline. You no longer wait for luck. You create leverage. You no longer expect the world to reward your effort randomly. You build systems that reward your consistency predictably. This shift is subtle at first, but grows rapidly as your mind becomes more aligned with your goals. Another transformation occurs when you start thinking like a millionaire. Your relationship with time changes completely. Instead of treating time as something you spend, you treat it as something you invest. You realize time is the ultimate currency, and when you use it wisely, everything else in your life compounds. You stop wasting weekends on distraction. You stop wasting hours on people who drain you. You stop wasting days on routines that lead nowhere. Your time becomes structured around your future, not your emotions. You start observing how the wealthy move through time. They protect it, multiply it, optimize it, and leverage it. When you adopt this mindset, your calendar becomes a strategic weapon instead of a list of random activities. You start living intentionally, not reactively. The next shift is your relationship with money itself. When you start thinking like a millionaire, you stop seeing money as something to spend and start seeing it as something to deploy. Money becomes a tool, a resource, a form of energy. Instead of using money emotionally, you use it strategically. Instead of buying things that impress people, you buy things that improve your life. Instead of consuming endlessly, you begin investing consistently. You move from, how do I afford this? To how do I build something that pays for this? You stop seeing money as the goal and start seeing money as the amplifier of your choices. This is why millionaire thinking leads to millionaire behavior. Not because you force yourself to save or invest, but because your mindset naturally pulls you towards smarter financial decisions. Then something profound happens. Your identity upgrades, and this is the inflection point where everything changes. When you start thinking like a millionaire, you stop identifying as someone trying to get ahead and begin identifying as someone meant to build, grow, and expand. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances. You start seeing yourself as the architect of your life. Your identity shifts from I hope to I execute, From I wish to I decide, from I want to I create. Once your identity aligns with the millionaire mindset, your habits follow automatically because identity dictates behavior. A millionaire thinker does not spend recklessly. A millionaire thinker does not waste time. A millionaire thinker does not quit easily. A millionaire thinker does not fear failure. A millionaire thinker does not worry about the opinions of people who are not building anything. Your entire emotional ecosystem shifts into a stronger version of yourself. When you start thinking like a millionaire, your tolerance for distraction drops dramatically. You no longer find entertainment in meaningless activities. You no longer participate in gossip, drama, or negativity. You no longer spend hours scrolling through social media. You no longer waste your emotional energy on people who don't align with your goals. Instead, you start valuing peace, focus, solitude, and deep work. You crave progress, not stimulation. You crave growth, not comfort. You crave evolution, not validation. This change alone separates you from 99% of people because the modern world is built to distract the masses, while the wealthy learn how to escape the noise. Another powerful shift occurs when you start thinking like a millionaire. Your circle naturally evolves. You find yourself drifting away from people who complain, make excuses, avoid responsibility, or settle for mediocrity. Their conversations no longer interest you. Their habits no longer inspire you. Their mindset no longer matches your standards. And because of that, you begin seeking new connections. People who think expansively, talk strategically, dream boldly, and execute consistently. You begin gravitating toward high performers not because you're trying to impress them, but because your mind now vibrates at a higher level. Your standard of conversation changes. Your standard of relationships changes. And eventually, your environment matches your ambition. When you start thinking like a millionaire, you stop chasing money and start chasing value. You begin understanding that income follows impact. Money follows skill. Money follows leverage. Money follows value creation. So instead of begging for better pay, you build better skills. Instead of chasing promotions, you chase mastery. Instead of chasing quick wins, you chase long-term assets. You think like a producer, not a consumer. You ask questions like, how can I make this more valuable? How can I solve this problem at scale? How can I build something that outlives my effort? And that thinking leads you directly toward wealth creation. Another transformation is that you stop avoiding discomfort. Poor thinking avoids discomfort to feel good now. Millionaire thinking embraces discomfort to feel unstoppable later. You understand that discomfort is the gateway to mastery. You see discomfort as training, not punishment. When others avoid difficult conversations, you address them. When others run from challenges, you confront them. When others quit during frustration, you push through it. Discomfort becomes a signal that you are on the right path because growth always requires it. Then comes one of the most powerful shifts of all. You stop fearing failure because you finally understand it. The average person sees failure as proof they are not good enough. Millionaires see failure as evidence they are learning the blueprint. One failed attempt brings clarity. One mistake brings insight. One setback brings direction. When you think like a millionaire, you stop labeling yourself when something goes wrong. You simply adjust, adapt, refine, and continue. You become resilient in ways the old version of you never imagined. As millionaire thinking expands inside you, something magical happens. Your decisions become cleaner, sharper, and faster. You make choices based on long-term vision, not short-term emotion. You stop hesitating. You stop overthinking. You stop doubting. You begin trusting your instincts because your instincts are now shaped by clarity, not fear. That internal trust accelerates progress at speeds most people never experience. But the most life-changing thing that happens when you start thinking like a millionaire is this. Your world expands. Not because magic appears, but because your mind finally stops shrinking. The opportunities that were always around you become visible. The potential you always had becomes activated. The ideas that used to scare you become exciting. The tasks that used to overwhelm you become manageable. The risks that used to intimidate you become calculated steps. The future that felt impossible becomes inevitable. Because millionaire thinking doesn't just change your finances, it changes your identity. It changes your habits. It changes your standards. It changes your circle. It changes your vision. It changes your relationship with time. It changes your relationship with yourself. And once those change, the world has no choice but to follow.